Welcome back, friends, to APAC North. It's our final game of our penultimate day here at APAC. Penultimate means the second to last.
You love that word.
Penultimate.
It's a fantastic word.
It reminds me of Penultimo, who is...
Crayon Ultimo. That's a different one.
Okay.
Penultimate, Crayon Ultimate.
FAV Gaming versus Talon. Fabian.
Yeah, I'm role-playing Jess. That's why I'm so far.
You're really failing hard at this. But you know what? How about you tell me a thing or two about FAV Gaming?
Well, we have seen some good stuff from them, and we've seen some rather bad stuff. They actually had a really good start to this stage, and they started out with 2 wins immediately, and we were looking at them as like, have they actually changed? Have they gotten themselves out of this position where they seem to be struggling with quite a lot of basic stuff? Ramo had a really good impact on them. That's what we at least came to the conclusion of. And since then, it's been down and down and down and
just
down
like
again.
You on the chair.
Yeah, and further down.
There's actually a couple of correlations from when FAV were winning to when they started losing. So the first one is FAV were winning when Fabian wasn't on the broadcast. Fabian joined on Playday 3. FAV have lost since. And also the new logo. On the old logo, FAV had 2 wins. New logo. They've lost since.
Jack,
now, I'm not a superstitious man.
You've fallen for the fallacy. Correlation does not mean causation.
I mean,
if you told me that, I mean,
I am telling you that.
I think underlying to that is it's FAV. I say this as FAV doing FAV things. They look so good, and then they look so bad, and then they look so good again. And I think it's just they have individual performance issues, individual consistency issues that they just can't get over.
And some other teams have the problem of actually playing like a team, which might not be the case here. Oh man, we're falling into all of this all over again. Talon on the other side, though.
Well, Talon have been performing really well. Kind of to a surprise, I think, to most of us. They've been a top team since the beginning of this stage, and I'll be honest with you, I think that they're going to keep on that position. They've been playing really well as a team. Their individual performances have really been shining as well. I think that they're really good at mastering some sort of... They're playing what I call, well, positions where you're stuck behind a shield in bad positions. They've been mastering all of these different individual positioning, and then when you master the individual positioning, they've added good team play on top of that. So the guy who's playing behind the shield in his stuck position, the help he's getting around himself has been really good.
My one concern for Talon is their recent attacking form. 5 rounds in 21 in their last 3 games, and that was on Theme, Oregon, and Club. So maps, especially Oregon and Club, that we know teams can attack. Despite that, they actually have the most plants in the league on Heady, which was 9, I believe. So it's kind of, I don't really know where to put them. When they're on and when they're attacking well, they look really good. But then when they're off, when they're losing these attack rounds, they don't look so hot as well. So I think they've also hit a period of inconsistency, and I think that's what we're going to see out of both of these teams today.
We talked about it last Playday as well, how their attacks had been poor, and I think you're taking it from APAC, and I had added on the Japan League, and they hadn't been doing... No, sorry, Korean Open it is that they're in. Let's mix them together. They haven't been doing well there either when it comes to attacks. So basically their attacks right now seem to be, as we said, they've taken the sickness of Fnatic, of not being able to attack.
At least those positions that you're talking about, which I would like to call the terminal velocity positions, which means you're always at 100%.
Yeah.
If you make 1% mistake, you're dead because you're overexposed, and that's the whole point of those positions existing. That's a power, but then the attack is always the difficulty. Our maps. And the starting side might be very important for this series as Talon want to hold on to their position. T1 Sandbox, they're fighting for it. And FAV have the potential to be at that top. Chalet is the place we're going to go for. FAV will have the final say. Remove Cafe from it. And with that, means that Talon start on the defense for Chalet. They picked the defense start on Chalet.
Well, we just talked about their attacking issues, Milosh.
There you go.
That's why they go. That's why they go defense.
It's almost like I
think when you're lacking
every time.
When you're lacking the confidence to start attack, even if it's an attacker map, that kind of shows that they know themselves that they've been struggling with it as well. So, yeah, I don't think it's any surprise that they choose the side. The map, however, I think leans into both teams quite well.
Yeah.
FAV, before they weren't struggling with their attacks, I think that this map would have leaned even more into their side, perhaps. But as it sits right now, it could go either way.
I think it's kind of difficult. Talon I believe these two actually played each other on Chalet. I could be wrong. No, they didn't last stage. But it's a map that both teams have generally liked. And I think back to FAV, and this was one of the first games of my experiences in APAC North last year, was FAV looking so good on Chalet, but they threw, I think, 3 5v2s in like consecutive rounds. And I guess that's one thing for me that sticks with me, that highlights their inconsistency, was that happening. What I'm looking for them today, particularly, is Afro and number 2 to step up. They're the ones that we thought, you know, they are the talented players on this roster, but they are also the 2 bottom-rated players on this roster, so I need to see a little bit more coming out of them.
I also think they picked the map for 2 reasons, one from each team. Both of them have played it in Japan League and Korean Open, so we have actually, I think it was FAV playing it once, and Talon's played it twice the last week, so they have lots of information in each other.
All right, I'm very excited for it then. Fabian and Fresh, that's our last game for today. Let's get it all started, and it's FAV versus Talon. Korea v Japan. We got Hapanam to take us through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. And yes, it is going to be a very important game. I just checked. I just did some numbers in my head. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I think that if Talon do take a win, no matter how, they are confirmed for the playoffs. If they do, however, lose, let's say in OT, that puts them onto 12, that puts FAV onto... that puts Talon onto 11, puts FAV onto 8, which means they're in 3-point range. Had to head over to FAV, which means they could technically lose out on the playoff spot. So winning here just cancels all of that out. Let's just put it up there. FAV needs to win as well to keep their dream alive. Otherwise, we might find ourselves with a pretty much set top 4 by the start of next play. Now, Chalet, the GLHFs are coming through. As one favorite or one famous APAC player once said, good luck, high five. Yeah. Instead of have fun. Hey, Des sits on this side, doesn't he? On the right. What? Des sits on the right. It's just... What did he do? Bits of this desk? I thought it was pencil shavings, but it's bits of the desk. What did he do? What did he do to the desk? What did Des do? Absolutely devastated it. It's because he jumps around. Clambers up, clambers down. Sorry, that's a side thing. You guys at home, you can't see the desk. You can't see the mess that Des has left. He's a mucky pup. I still don't know what he's done. He's leaving quickly as well. Yeah, he's off. That's why he's made a quick retreat. The other 2, they're off. We're here. Lion and Flores, they're off also. So you're actually banned. I'm sorry for the solo cast, I guess. Yeah, well, I mean, you've been banned. It happens sometimes. Valkyrie gone as well. So I guess neither of us will be here in that case. Oh, see it. Yeah. It's going to be a completely silent cast coming through. That was a very, very, like... I'm just up to things in the set that the people at home can't see. Yeah. Just looking at it, Jack just not paying attention to the audio. So I didn't take my heads off. Once again, I went to steal Milosh's pen. But the headset cable, it leaves my fingers like inches from where Milosh leaves his pen. I don't know if he does it on purpose. But Jack was right there. Fresh was right there, and he didn't notice me. Just like... reaching. Okay, that's enough of the bits that you guys can't see at home. It's like describing a movie. It's like a radio play. Let's talk about the things you can see and talk about the removals here. Chalet, and we've instantly got the alibi on the board alongside a Ying. We have expectations for these 2 rosters, I think, at this point, which, to be fair, we didn't always have. No. You know, back in the day, it was a how will FAV throw this time kind of play style. I mean, that's how we started to describe them. And Talon, of course, stuck near the relegation danger. Both these teams were. And managed to stick in. They managed to stay here, and now they are fighting for potential playoff spots. FAV started really strong on the first 2 games of the stage. After that, we thought they might be a new competitive form of themselves. Then Jack brought in the potential correlation. And there's, by the way, a beautiful website for that. Correlation does not equal causation. There's tons of examples, like how the amount of graduates of high school somehow correlates to the amount of pizza consumption. Now, I think there might be a causation there. This is a real off-the-wall segue. I'm sorry, it's really stood up to me. Like, there is a beautiful website. Okay, I studied maths, okay? So these are the things you know what I studied? Siege. And we're getting that on our screens right now. The approach is coming through, the grenades popped.
its way towards that top window, but nobody is playing aggressively on
lower
that bathroom.
Oh! I was going to say, Caddis, how you don't see him? He's just looking at him there.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how they missed that. It was the punch, it was the combination, it was Shin. The man is so cool, calm, and collected. I would have been screaming to pull off that kill.
Say as well, he's just looking at him, not going for the kill there. Either way, first Candelas are starting to pop in. They expect a quick push to happen, but nothing really that comes down into Talon. Yeah, it might have also been to waste any magnets, waste any ADSs potentially out there. For those of you that do not know how the Candela works, it is basically a ball that you toss in, and then it pops into multiple different flashbangs, and each of them can be caught by an ADS or a magnet.
Everyone's downstairs.
Yeah, they're going for a big rotate.
One player on the site itself, they went off for a huge rotate. They stacked him up with 2 shields, all the gear, and said, don't worry, we'll be back. And, well, FAV have half read that, but there's a swing that might come around from the bottom of the fireplace stairs right now. There is a player just sat there, waiting. Off on the opposite side, they're going to see if they can strike somebody as they try and hop in from the balcony itself. There's pressure that's coming all the way across. They haven't overextended, but it just takes, I think it's Soldier, just hiding on the corner in a position ready to strike. Background on the back there. The pressure's coming. There he is. And he's waiting for the push to come through. And here it's still timing. Here it's still explosions. Here it's still, you know, Talon keeping themselves kind of far away.
Now the nitro from below has been used, and that means there's not really any denial left except for the 2 smoke canisters out there, so the flanks really do need to come in big here. Candelas are being tossed around the corner, will completely blind the smoke, possibly behind that shield. Yeah, indeed he was, but no one really followed up on it, so no worries as of yet. Afro looking to go in, that's when Soldier strikes. They are well aware now of a player right behind them, but Afro has an opportunity here to find himself on an alternate angle and actually go for a plant.
Well, 30 seconds and nobody on site, and they're finally able to try and put some pressure on the long-arm smoke canisters. Is just going to stop the immediate plant. Afro doesn't quite want to go for the swing round. As long as that smoke's there, they're causing a lot of problems, and they still have the shield to support them. Soldier able to find one more. As he finds one more, Typon just misses the edge of at least the smoke, but with only a handful of seconds, he's going to try and reconvene around the diffuser, and the kid itself hops in the close window, tries to find the first fight, but they're not going to take it. The second is just behind a shield, and they're able to pop up Talon. For having nobody on site for pretty much the opening minute, 2 minutes even, of that game, outside of 1 single smoke player and 2 shields, there was so much caution from FAV, and yes, FAV still lost at least 2 players to 1 single player that was on the roam down on the fireplace stairs.
Yeah, they definitely did, and I mean, I was going to say, like, this is an issue we see more in APAC, but also EU, is where there is only a single player on the site. Drones are not in that position. It's difficult to get your drones directly into the site because there's people all around it, which means that you do not have that information, so you cannot actually go for... Look at this. You see the head down there. It was down there for like 5 to 10 seconds before that already. It's just not spotting out. Shit. Might be a dinosaur, you know, because he didn't move. Dinosaurs don't see people that don't move. T-Rexes, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no,
This
just
wasn't on
saying.
your stats website, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing correlation now, so just trying to find the reasonings why stuff happens like it happens. Either way, Talon with that first round, due to the fact that, of course, FAV did not have any up-to-date information onto the direct side, they weren't able to act upon the, well, solo player on there.
Okay, FAV, bit of a false start there. Let's see if you can try and drive it home. It did come to a bit of a 2 versus 1, but it was very spread out. There wasn't these, I guess, tight responses that came through from FAV, and they did get the opener. They did have it entirely unpunished very early on. And then from that point on, they just couldn't really find a build behind it. Here, they're making sure they go for the width and the setup that Chalet is sort of built upon. It has that divide, and you know, you sort of need to get some control under the bottom of West Main and make sure that you have some of the lockdown on the stairs. It's starting over the top, though, here. The C4 doesn't quite pop off.
Oh, the bounce back! No!
Oh, no.
No!
Oh, dear, oh,
That
dear.
is so... I saw a bounce, I'm like, no way. Afro went down, so if he just would have stayed up, he would have been fine.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Right, well, we'll continue. That's,
Well, Afro won't.
Yeah, Afro won't. The rest of FAV will, number 2, use 2 grenades. Yeah, found one.
The fact that it was so silent after that as well, just
Yeah, everybody held their fire. It was a moment of silence for their fallen friend.
breathe that in. Well, there's a little bit of a chance of aggression caught out there. This time they had the second body in. That grenade goes round, goes deep, gets nobody because nobody else is in this corner. They've been able to get control of the top of the stairs, but then they instantly lose out somewhere else as well. 2 bodies dropped pretty much simultaneously there. Ramu, he's now not entirely sure where he needs to apply the pressure because they're not going to just hand him another freebie. Number 2 is sat on rappel. Soldiers stepped in to the previous space beforehand. I was on their trophy window.
Oh, they're just holding off for now. I mean, they lost quite some men. The drones are coming through, so they have an ID of at least one, but there's nothing really they can do of it. The rappel in comes at the moment. Soldier looks away. Will still be able to pick up the kill. Hedy finds one as well with the shotgun. It's a bit of a scrappy fight at the end there, and I hope we get to see a replay of that grenade.
A little bit Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah,
A little bit slapstick.
It's not the best round for them, but you know, luckily it's early in the match, so plenty of time to recover.
That's the Rick and Morty player card. I think that's the first time I've seen the Rick and Morty one.
That's the first time I've seen it as well. I saw it earlier on. I think it was there in the first round as well. But it's like, oh, like that's neat, nice little thing in the game again. All right. Well, after that setback for FAV, let's see if there is going to be a comeback into this one. 2 rounds in a row they have lost. Talon were able to punish them as they went for a side push in the end. Of course, FAV punished themselves a little bit at the start with the number 2 grenade.
It was a tragic round. I think it was
at the right intentions.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's early rounds, it's little mistakes that can be very costly. That was one of those. That was a sort of, as I said, you know, it's a little bit of the fault of missing the grenade. It's a little bit of the fault of going down on the rappel. It's little things happening at the same time leading to a big error. And it's an energy that you need to sort of curb because Talon are a team that definitely warms into a fight, and they're a team that has proven that over how well they've played this split.
Yeah, for sure. They've definitely stepped up massively compared to the last year. So is T1, for example. So, well, let's see if Talon is going to be able to pick up a win here and basically confirm themselves for those playoffs. It would be absolutely amazing to see them there, potentially fighting for a major spot as well at the end of it, because this is going to be their penultimate match, the penultimate Playday. Talon is looking closely around that window. He's looking to find a bit of an overstep from the defender on that shield. It's not going to be finding it. Soldier just stays put behind it, and it's rightful to do so as well. You do not want to give anything to the attackers here. They need to force you out of your positions, not the other way around. This grenade's coming around the corner to get rid of frost mats. That is some very expensive utility use.
Now Hedy is waiting to hope that somebody goes in for the hop. It's number 2 first, and they're sprayed down by Canos, who just digs himself in. Can't get the second. Afro is able to trade it out, but it's Aziz that finds Typon. It is back and forth all the way across the board, but the way Talon just keep leaning in to these approaches, they hear a taste. They hear just a little bit. Little pitter-patter of FAV Gaming feet and decide we're going to put the pressure on. They keep stepping in, and FAV seem just surprised more than anything to keep finding themselves under the barrels of the guns of Talon sooner than they seemingly would like. They've been able to get themselves over the top. They've cleared out the sort of crux of this hole on the second story, but in a 4-2 with always the danger of rotation, you don't really have anything to limit it outside of potential drones, pre-placed or otherwise. How can you now try and funnel an attack here when it's one open hatch, but it's still a backline hold?
There's also just some aggressive swings coming out from the top of that library stairs. Shin seems to be aware that there might be someone in the pantry, and that is indeed going to be the push they want to go for here. The swing comes in, the cover was there. It's a good bait indeed. Now the pantry is under control. There's also one hiding in the little side office towards the window, and it's a 2-2 suddenly. FAV getting back into this round here that should have been theirs a long time ago on the side of Talon. It's only up to Shin though. The last man standing has the LMG, tries to go for a plant, trying to bait them out, and as they're going from 2 directions at the very same time, it might be fightable. He gets off, he gets the first, he should know exactly where the other one is. The pre-fires came through, you have an LMG, you only take 1 bullet, no, he gets it, finds Soldier, and FAV finds a round more importantly.
Oh, that was all Shin. And don't get me wrong, it takes two to tango. You could see the pings that came through on the bait of the play on the man on the back. And you sort of say, well, how are they going to get in? And what information did they have? They had the intel that there was only the single player on the site. And they said, well, if we can force a fight with him, I mean, we've got to force a fight with somebody. And at least this gives us the control of the site. It forces us into a position they probably don't expect. The bait on the run and the momentum probably sort of... They wanted to give the idea we're going to plant against this reinforced wall. Yeah, they forced the swing, they had the cover, and then from then on to get into position. A huge play from a single player, but it's one, Fav, one. Can you turn that into a little bit more?
The pre-round, or like the start of the round and the mid-round, were completely in control of Talon. They might have fallen back a little bit too much, because what you saw is as soon as they got those 3 kills up top, they fell back, they had towards the first floor and held all the other entries, but the actual hatch drop, that one was not being watched at that time. And that might be a bit of a mistake. You could have held that from the bar. You could have looked over. Of course, was being opened up above by that buck, so it would have been a bit tricky to play to some extent. And as a result, FAV able to work themselves through, able to find a round. A round that should have been Talon's, if we are completely honest about it, but they managed to find success, and that is good for them. Good for the matchup as well, otherwise we might have, you know, seen ourselves in a 5-1 in the end, maybe even worse. By the way, back up to that top floor. And as FAV is trying to prepare themselves, getting drones in positions and opening up windows to start putting pressure elsewhere upon the map, it is Talon very aggressively extended into the library area, into the top of the library stairs, also fireplace. There's people everywhere, and as he's completely blind as he goes to the balcony window here, Ramu, is he aware?
I cannot believe it! That A, he wins out the fight, and it was going to be a less exacerbated cannot believe it, because, well, I can't believe that they're still swinging in. The man was blind, and he's like, this is the perfect time for me to try and pick a firefight, and then he goes out and he wins it. It's that consistent aggression I mentioned before. Talon are not letting FAV get comfortable anywhere. They're sort of putting up this threshold, which is apparently the entire radius of every single window over this map, and saying, no, 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 this is ours, and this is dangerous. Now they find themselves once again in this deficit. They do not have the buck to try and drive some of that pace, maybe some of that control from underneath. They wanted to see if they could move some of the players out of position, and it forces them to have to go for this wider clear again. Here it starts, but if we remember last time the strikes came from deep underneath, it was Soldier.
He's back below again as well. Here is a grenade being pulled in from the trench area now. I'm not quite sure. Nope, doesn't have an impact available, so no instant run out on the likes of Shin, but he's going on a repel now, and that means he will be a bit vulnerable. Soldier, though, is deciding to not go for a run out. Demic still below as well. They have some C4s available as number 2 goes for the execute here.
Afro kills Typon, but at least gets Hetty in the confusion. He's quite injured behind the back of the piano, and there is the player pushing up onto the far staircase, but with 2 Talon players at the top, is it a pressure that Shin knows? He's pulled himself back towards the window. He's not going to take the trophy window. He's seeing if he can get a bit of a wide swing here and just offer some of the support here. They're going for the cross angle, and Soldier's going for blood. Drops Afro through based on the intel, and now they find themselves trying to cover a cold diffuser. It's a bit of a rotation. Number 2 is looking over towards the back of the shield, hoping to catch the player as he peeks, but when it happens, and it happens at the wrong time, they lose that window player. They lose any control that they had over that split and that rotation. He wants to try and force a firefight somewhere, but they're not going to hand him anything this time. And, well, no need to. Soldier on the bed behind the ammo cache that everybody keeps on the bed.
Quite logical, right?
Quite logical.
It's a good storage space. But no, good, well done by Soldier there. He spotted the back of the head of the Hibana, I believe it was, sneaking through that doorway there, and instead of panicking and not shooting, you know, trying to say, they're inside, they're inside. He just went for a blind spray through the wall and was able to find him and drop the diffuser as a result. So, well done by them there. Again, a team kill on the side of FAV. This is the second one we've had so far.
Yeah.
Only 4 rounds in, so they're doing quite well on the team kill ratio.
I wouldn't... well isn't... well is a clean sheet.
It depends on what you define as well.
Yeah, I think if
you want to go for a 1.0 per round,
if you're a Talon fan,
they're doing very well.
They're doing very well. If you're a FAV fan,
they're not so
good,
much. Yeah.
Not so hot, no.
No, they should definitely try and stop that from happening. I don't know if it's a bit of disconnect or if it's maybe too many people wanting to go too quickly there. Of course, the nade was just a blatant misthrow, right? It hit the window frame. Mistakes happen. It bounced back. Afro just happened to be there.
We don't know what happened with the team kill shot, but as someone died pretty much immediately after it,
was probably
like
a spray.
Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Sprays through a little bit of chaos.
And I mean, sometimes it's worth it to team kill your teammate if you manage to get the other kills as a result as well, which you did. Because if you then hold, your teammate doesn't get it, you can both be sprayed down as a result.
I believe the technical term for that.
Sacrifices need to be made sometimes.
It's like intense baiting, where you bait them by just shooting people through them.
Sometimes you just got to go for it. Either way, Twitch drones on the board, looking to find any piece of utility. Shin opening up on the window here just to get that default cam. Not quite sure if he shot through any prismas. Doesn't seem to be the case, as no spots are coming through yet. And look onto Talon here. We have some presence on the stairs. It should be easily naded out. I don't think there's any ADSs around. Flashbang's coming. C4 will be tossed in. Is not going to be able to find anybody. And the grenade will follow, so he better get out of here quickly. Oh, here is it. Will be sprayed down from the window. It's the second kill to come in from West Main. FAV completely picked him apart during this site.
Very well played trap there. FAV had every exit route covered. Soldier, he's right by the temptation of a run out on one, but he's going for the peak on the other. Shin, once again, a name that is showing up in these rounds that are turning into successful ones. The only one, to be fair, the one that he really was that driving force behind here. And once again, they've got off to the start. He's got a double kill across 2 different facets of the map with that LMG. Kanos is seeing if he can get a bit of revenge, but they're not overextending. It's just now the execute to come down. One of the few times we've seen FAV with a very strong man advantage, but making its sort of mark is the most important part. They fall down, get control of trophy, have a bit of the split, have the player just hanging on the bottom of main stairs, but they still have Shin around that window, so he'll get caught as soon as he goes up. Can they find the sneaky snake way through to get the kit down?
It's a big question here. Kenneth goes for the jump out. Is not going to be able to find anybody. Shin's still out there, though, and 45 seconds onto the clock now. Going to be pre-fired. Actually, Shin gets that triple kill. It's only up to Canis now, and he had been spotted outside just a little bit earlier. A flawless round for FAV. And they close it off well here. 3v2. The Twitch drone skin is being mentioned here by Demic because that was the elite skin that was on the board.
See, isn't there a ruling that's different in APAC?
Yeah, so that's what I've heard as well, that the APAC rulebook might have said that it was allowed.
And we know this because it was put in the official communications channels. And we had questions of this at the time.
You know what? I'm just gonna try and find out.
You double check it. It was when it started off. Because if you are unaware, everybody at home, recently you probably noticed that you can now put skins on your gadgets as a sort of way of going deeper into the customization, and that is only really a thing of importance if you're playing with elite skins, because you can put elite things onto gadgets. In every other league, I believe it is prohibited, as always, because if we throw our minds back, the reason skin restrictions became a big conversation was 2 of the biggest problems was Valkyrie's elite skin and Twitch's elite skin, because the gadgets become much harder to see and much harder to get rid of, easier to hide. So there's going to be a quick rehost to get... I don't know if it's related, but either way, so that was the first conversation of skin bans alongside some of the ones that I know all of you have seen in ranked that you dislike. And then we went, okay, well, how about no skins, everybody? And then obviously the pilot program ones are allowed.
Yeah.
But the conversation when this elite stuff got in, it wasn't included. And APAC said you can use them.
Yeah, that's what we originally heard, but of course there might have been an adaptation to that rule.
Because the players wouldn't want it. A, you don't want it up against you, it makes it trickier, but B, you want to be in line with everybody else, because otherwise mistakes happen.
Yeah, that's when you get to the major stage and suddenly it becomes a bit of a
you lose
an awkward
around.
Situation where you use it and suddenly it's not allowed to be used, and you're wondering why. Now, we are on a rehost. We are uncertain as of to why. We haven't been informed yet. So we'll just try and break down what happened before and see if we can get an update on that in the meantime. Now, what we see is that currently FAV is trailing 2-3. They had some successes, but also some unfortunate fails throughout the round. I think this still the round pushed through the bar with the hatch. The bait that came in where the other player was looking towards the library stairs, hoping to find someone out there, was instantly being covered up by the sledge above. It was a beautiful round, a 2v4, but it's a round that they shouldn't have won. It should have been a round, of course, for the side Talon. And then you start questioning yourself. How long is this? Like, how many of these rounds are going to be having an impact in the end? Because if FAV wins 7-5, then that 2v4 clutch they managed to stick is going to be absolutely important.
So that's the last message that we have about the skins. In the announcements channel.
In the announcements channel, okay.
It says gadget skins are also permitted as of stage 1 until further notice. So maybe further notice happened. And
we don't know, yeah.
And we just missed further notice. Maybe we are only allowed on one mailing list and not on the follow-up mailing list.
I've just asked League Ops though, so
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
We just straight up asked them. Because
sometimes it's the best way to find out.
Yeah, because we don't want to lie to you people at home, but we can only give you the information that we know as we know it. We're not just, obviously you can't see us, we're not just on our phones whilst we're casting.
No, I'm using my tablet.
Yeah.
To find out.
So fancy. All right, we have a rehost. Let's talk about how this game is going for these two teams. It is your defense on Chalet. Chalet it's a little bit of a mixed property. I know some regions it's sort of gone in with a good attacker favoritism because there's a lot of good places. Some are defense. Okay, we have the update apparently. Inform the team as of now, all of Elite Skin is not allowed to be used on the gadget.
So they're no longer allowed. So that's the
whether it's as of now, like right now,
or from the next,
or from like onwards.
We don't.
It's obviously something the players were aware of because obviously the player called it out, and maybe that's what they're deliberating. Maybe that's what they're sort of talking and going over now. As we fill time, but we can sort of highlight on the Chalet because it's 3-2. If FAV pull themselves 3-3 here, and they put themselves onto their defense. That, I mean, how do you think that sort of fares for the tail of the map?
That's it. Like, I don't know. Usually these kind of periods are better for attackers because they can discuss about what went wrong. So I think FAV is going to have a good extra round here because, of course, we have seen a lot of the defense already that has been tossed up. And they're going to be able to find some good results there. But besides that, it's going to be basically a complete clean sheet here. So it's Bar Gaming up next. They've won that one before, but it was a 2v4 clutch. They've had time to talk about it during that rehost to try and figure out what they should do better. And after that, it is just dependent on who will be starting off their half better during the second one.
It's worth sort of looking back at how these teams have performed up to this point as well. And Talon have generally done better on their defenses. They've generally had more success. Sometimes they've won the game and haven't been able to match it on their attack side. But otherwise, it is this sort of statistic that looms over you on a map like this, where, as I said, sure, there are places and teams that prefer on attack. There are places and teams that prefer on defense. It's not sort of like Oregon, where it's kind of balanced and everyone has this conversation of it's just a 50-50 map. It's not like maps that are kind of intrinsically heftily swayed. And hefty in the terms of Siege is like 2%.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like 52% attack-sided is very much attack-sided overall. Now, round 6, the last defensive round here for Talon that is on. This is their moment to try and make sure that they maintain their leads. Whereas FAV, of course, just had some time during that rehost to discuss what went wrong, to see what they need to improve on for this extra attacking round before they head over to the defense themselves. Now, of course, there is still tactical timeouts available. Those will be used most likely during the second half when the other team is starting to near match point or when your streak is starting to be broken. And as again, the same approach from FAV comes true. It might all rely on different use of utility, different timings as well, to be the big difference maker in this round. And we see 4 pre-plays this time, actually. He's going to get shot by... Never mind. I was going to say that pre-play C4 might actually be to catch number 2 off if he again jumps in from that small window, but it got impacted. And as Talon now gets that very first kill through the window in the piano, I believe that is going to be a very welcome entry kill here for the side of FAV.
And that's it. Now FAV, they've been able to put some of this damage down, and after our rehost, we'll see if these are stats that might sort of show the face of how this game's developing. Soldier, he's stacked up here, waiting on the top of the pressure for the stairs. Talon, as we said, a lot of theirs came from this early lead, but FAV have sort of been warming into it. 2 rounds, and both of them have included, I think, a triple kill from Shin before the break. So he's always a player to sort of keep your eye on. Here, though, the presence starts to come through. They get themselves buried inside, and Soldier on the reverse side of the shield tries to catch out number 2, but that's a game you can only really play once.
I was going to say, such an aggressive angle as well. Shin will be caught, however, and that is going to be a big LMG off the board. Just a single one left to go as Ramu now falls as well. It's a 3 and 4 situation. Again, FAV is slowly starting to lose the grips of this site. Last time it was a 2 and 4 clutch together that they managed to hold back on. And if you look at the control they have right now, basically the top floor is theirs, but that's about all they have. They need to start jumping in at some point. And Soldier is a little bit closer now. He's on those library stairs. He has the opportunity to swing in as well if they need it, if they do decide to go for hedge drops again.
Well, there's Demic suffering a little bit. Number 2's trying to drive their way into the bottom of Fireplace and see if they can get down to that back line that was the start of their undervalued push, and there it is. Heady gets caught out. We hear some pressure coming through, and Typon gets himself one more on the top, and there's another handed over the back of the shield. Suddenly, as he's about to get caught from the side, Malusi suffers, but they get the plant down. Swing and just gets that fleeing player. Doesn't have the time to try and drop them because they don't have the time for anything else. FAV get their 3rd, 2 in a row just before the turn of the half, and for my money, this puts them in a pretty good situation going into their defenses.
It definitely does, and a little bit of miscommunication, I guess, there from Talon, because we saw the player in Pantry starting to shuffle around a little bit, even though the player was spotted on that barred door. You are vulnerable from that position, however, unable to act accordingly. And now FAV, 3-3, have been able to make up the deficit that Talon was able to lead by. Now Talon on their attacks. Top floor, master bedroom office will be the first one to go for, and there's multiple ways to go at this. You could either go from library, you open up that default wall, get the plant in right behind the half wall whilst you have some presence on the balcony, onto the double window, but you could also go for a back push, one where you take control of the northern side of the map, those double windows where we saw the grenade team kill before. Something Talon will most likely try and avoid this time. And as they're setting themselves up, it is key to balance your utility around, especially if you do not know how Talon want to go for the attack here. Now, 9 sides will be created. Most likely you will see someone up on the Solarium stairs as well. Just to play around that position. You gotta be careful you do not get naded from that though, because that was of course what number 2 tried to achieve in that round where they were attacking that top floor, to get the nade to land right on top of the staircase as soon as it exploded. We all know how it went. And it worked out a second time around. They got the grenade there, they were forced out, went right into the rotation from either the west main angle that was being held and the trophy upside down. So it worked out quite well for them during those attacks. It's just that now they're on the defense here, and Talon is the one that leads the charge.
So, some control and some pressure here, and what we saw before from FAV was they didn't quite know how to approach the start of Talon's defenses. Is it going to be the same sort of story here, or do they have that energy that's taken over from before? There's the pings, the pressure from that player that's just tried to creep his way up, the reveal against that Prisma, but they're well aware of where it's going to be held. Can Typon stick this out for as long as possible? Tries to time the C4, and doesn't, but is blinded and not dropped. That's the important part. That grenade gets him, though, around the corner. They went very aggressive and trusted that he was still blind. Demic is able to find it out, and, well, actually, where did that grenade come from? To the bottom of the stairs, potentially, from that window? Yeah, it was the bottom of the stairs from the sledge.
We had one indeed from trophy window, we had one coming in from above, and Soldier now inside taking out some small utility pieces. That's a bulletproof gun, that's an ADS gun. Oh, bulletproof still there actually. Demic will be finding Ramu, we'll be finding Afro as well. I'm not quite sure where he got that from. Well, he just finds the quad kill all from the one window. I'm not quite sure, but hey, if it works, it works. And he's just looking for the ace now.
2 were a run out, and that's the thing. So we heard an air jab pop from the main double door of Fireplace. He swings onto that. I assume there was a second. And they tried to sort of go, listen, you get the air jab, I'll get the kill, we'll trade it. Which is fair, because then you take the player out in that window. Yeah. And sure, you're still at the man disadvantage, but you limit the control that they have. And he read into that. And, you know, I'm going to assume, I could be wrong about this, I'm going to assume you had one run out from the main double doors and one run out from Trench, red, to try and separate it. They might have both run out from the main
I mean, that might be more common, actually. It's something a lot of people do, is when you know there's an air jab, but you know you cannot get it, one runs out, gets the air jab, the second one will actually take the fight. So when the player on the rappel is busy with the one that just dropped down by the air jab, he's going to be picked up by the second player. But if there's a bit too much of a disconnect in there, if there's a little bit too much time between 1 and 2 running out, well, you'll find yourself both picked up. I was more confused, though, that the player, the defender, that was right underneath the big window apparently had no clue that he was on there after he just got 3 kills from that position.
They must have known, because they ran out to try
but what was he looking at? He was looking at the trophy window.
I don't know what he was looking at, but I think he knew. I could be wrong there.
We never know. We'll never know what they know. Now it's 3-4. Talon have retaken that lead. A good first attack. Let's see if they can keep it up. We're now near the bar area, often where a frost starts coming in, and we saw some grenades being used by the side of FAV to get rid of those frost mats. Of course, there is often the opportunity to go for upside down repels or other opportunities, other ways to get rid of them as well. If you know, for example, it's completely clear out, just to jump in and hip fire towards the bottom should also be enough. Long angles being watched here so far by Canos, looking to find Typon, hopes that he oversteps a little bit. That Twitch drone was maybe used as a bit of bait. Got the ADS underneath his feet. He's going to be making his position a lot more harder to hold on to. Might have tried to actually get him to chase that Twitch drone.
Yeah, I'm not going to go as far as to say they're good with grenades, but they're dedicated enough to find a solution. They used 3 from 2 different locations and 2 different floors to get the single player out from before. They have 4 to try and get this pressure out. It's going to start with the breach on this wall. Is anybody in a position to get rid of those? There you see it. Afro just gets most of them, but that gap could be costly. You saw a little bit more of an extension. They're going to go for it once again. There's Afro once again. Okay, you sort of lost it there.
And do that anymore.
No, don't do it again.
At least unless if you do not want to go for anything else. That grenade might bounce around the corner. No, the ADS will catch it, so the shield will stay. Second grenade will be used. Does a little bit of damage towards Afro, but takes... No, the shield still stands. Has been placed pretty far forward there, and that means he's allowed to continue playing here for now. Second ADS is also recharged there, so even more utility use is going to be resulting into failure here. And Azazis wants to open up yet once more. We most likely see an aggressive swing from Afro again, trying to stop the X-Cars from detonating.
Typon's still in this position, still locked in, and if you're unfamiliar with the hold of this site, it's a power position where you sort of play this and you play the top of the blue stairs, but they still have both. And, you know, you have to try and at least try and drive one of these players out, and it requires pressure sort of on both angles to limit the way those two can build a synergy. You're not really getting that here from Talon. They've done a little bit of damage, sure, they've dropped a shield, they've thrown a couple of grenades in, but there hasn't been a connection. There hasn't really been anything. And as I said, I'm not going to go as far as to call them good with grenades, but dedicated with utility, and it hasn't really come together. Shin watching for this rotate. 3, 2, 1. Someone else died, but he still got the kill.
And there's 2 entries now for the side of FAV here. Make that 4! It's just heading now. They multiply very quickly there. The diffuser will not even be taken with 10 seconds on that clock. Need to go for some kills here. Some stat spanning, potentially. No, a flawless round instead. FAV, they keep us even. We are 4-4. That means that this side at least cannot be played for a little bit now. Might be towards the pleasure of Talon, as they clearly struggled getting the grenades in. I mean, just a single nade needed to pop. 2 were tossed in a bit too far. Were unable to get the shield. Didn't use any to get rid of the Jaeger player, even though there was openings besides in the wall. You did get rid of the ADS before. I mean, your Twitch drone literally zapped it, so that should have been called out. None of the utility really used. We found ourselves in a 4-4.
It's flawless to a flawless. We just had a sort of... I'm not going to say domination. You know, if all people were fed to the churning mill of a man repelling on a double window, pulled a 4K, and then they got a flawless round. There, within 5 seconds, you'd lost 4 players. They'd run out of time, and because of their inability to get control of the other push, because their inability to sort of put pressure, there wasn't anybody that was coming over from the bedroom side to try and take out the player on the top of blue stairs.
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone outside of a grenade that bounced through that sort of connector window at the top of the stairs. And then because of how much utility you've already dedicated, the Hail Mary of let's just jump into sight, they're still watching for it.
Definitely still will be. Openings will be made. Hatch opened up just to provide some extra rotation possibilities back into the big garage, or maybe even a bit of a late flank if they do decide to go for the trench area. What we do know, though, is that they are starting to open. Is that an attempt on an impact trick? Yes, but it's not going to be working out because it was too far to the left. Fine effort, though, but it's not going to be sticking in the end there. And Typon playing with that class shield is definitely going to be a bit of a pain towards as he's out there. They're just gonna leave. There's no need to stay. They can, they've opened it up. It's a bit of pressure. They need to be aware of it. But besides that, they don't really need to do anything with it for now, unless the approach is coming through. When the execute starts happening, that's when you want to play onto that double garage door.
Shin is locked in, and they've just prepped themselves a bit of pressure underneath, but this angle means that they've got to play it quite wide. They're waiting for the drift through, and he's waiting for a grenade to the back of the stairs. Doesn't quite catch. Do they know that Ramu's all the way up there, or are they just a little bit lucky that time round? Either way, the pressure's coming through here onto red. They're getting control of West Main. They're going to go for the take on this side. They have some concerns about the players that are stacked up onto the second story, but instead they can kind of put those to the wayside. They're going to trust that they have a bit of a watch on the flank instead with guns and see if they can try and do some of the busy body work onto the site itself. Typon's going to make this a little bit trickier. The clash will buy FAV a little bit more time to pull the players back and go for a little bit more control on the site, but still, a minute 20, trench wall open. What can they do with it?
Yeah, there's a lot of players still up on the top floor, and that is definitely going to be an issue here. Number 2 going for this jump out is going to be letting them know that no one would be out there if they decided to go for it. Demic will find a kill. The clash is definitely stuck now. He's not going to be able to walk through it, so needs to extend a little bit more towards the big garage area, towards the north, and needs to be very careful now that if she does step forward to not get shot in the back from those main stairs. Remember, the garage hatch still open up. A flank from Ramu or number 2 could still be on the board. As Typon takes small amounts of damage from the fire there, that might be huge.
But they've got to try and push behind it. That's the main problem, because this is buying FAV time. That soft hatch gets opened. They had a drone watching it, and number 2's going to see if they can try and strike from the backside. Soldier, he's going to try and pick up the pieces here and be the flank on the flank on the flank behind the man. They're watching and trying to stick the plant. In the meantime, Canos, he's able to take care of Shin. There's a big strike on the backside, but it's suddenly number 2.
Oh, he misses everything.
And the only other one left alongside Typon. That back, that ballast, that anvil is gone. It is only the hammer of the alibi stuck. Nowhere to go, and well revealed in a post-plant situation. It's a firing line, and our 3rd flawless in a row.
We're just going flawless after flawless after flawless, and we're trading in between the 2 teams as well. I mean, the flank was such a good idea. It was all prepped. The hatch was opened up. There was no claymore set out underneath for them. If it was a little bit earlier, might have been able to catch them off right before they actually executed, but shots missed in the end there, unable to nail that flank eventually. FAV, 30 seconds left on that tactical timeout, is looking to recollect for what has been lacking in 2 of these last 3 rounds, where they just got flawless stuff. And we got to remember, though, Talon also gets a bit of an opportunity now to discuss what side is next. Of course, there is one that came off lock. It is going to be that bedroom. We might see that one coming out straight away again, or they might attend the bar, depending on what they feel like.
I guess it's always that conversation here for FAV, because when you're sort of in this pressure position, when things are going back and forth, and it's going back and forth in such extreme measures that it's 3 flawlesses in a row, but it's a back and forth return and response for them. How do they find the connection here? They went for the bold run out. It didn't quite work. And what we saw from Talon was good punishment on that player on the stairs. They had more than enough pressure to remove them, and then knew what they wanted to do afterwards. But the time where they've been able to stall out that approach, that opening utility push, is where FAV were able to find some success. And they found it in a plum. They entirely scarpered Talon just by limiting that sort of start. And the conversation is, how can they do it here? Could Castle be that difference maker? Time will tell.
Time will indeed tell what the difference will be. It's going to be locking off a little bit more here for the side of FAV. Just stopping some lines aside, making sure they have to use extra utility. Of course, Demic on the sledge is going to be a bit of a help. Is going to be able to shut down these castle barricades quite quickly, especially if they're on the windows. And Azzy's being able to use 2x Kairos will do the exact same thing. That there's going to be time to actually rip them down. Oh, that is Soldier that almost was able to find a castle there. Shin just definitely put that's instantly pulled down.
Like, hey,
it's not gonna last. It's like I missed the opportunity to kill you while you put it down, but I'm definitely gonna be taking down a castle barricade as soon as I can to not give you anything for it.
Well, Taipon knows that they suffered from the grenade epidemic last time around here on the bottom. They need to somehow try and solidify some safety, and whether that's the response, either way, they don't have much more time to work it out. The flashes come through. There's the C4 prepped and ready. It didn't quite pop off last time, and this time it does! Ramu as well gets Demic at the same time, and that is that big player. That's the response. They swung in, expecting that grenade from the bottom, and the change here was Ramu in a position in Trophy to put the fire back out Trophy window and catch the player unaware.
Of course, something that very often happens, a player out on that position trying to get a Nitro cell out is basically the only way to truly counter them. And this time it worked out. Taipon able to find him, but that's the only piece of denial they had left. So if Talon is going to be able to find themselves back into this round here, if they find 1 or 2 kills, suddenly there's nothing really left for them to try and stop any potential plant from happening besides maybe some verticals that they could have set up before. Some utility being taken out. The Twitch drone is headed around the corner trying to find if there's any roamers still out there. And well, with that knowledge, they also now know that no one indeed is near the library side. They're all dug in. Addy getting some pings here, having this barricade to play with. Just going to be opening that up fully as the crossfire comes through. Afro already in the library. A jump in from the blue stairs. Soldiers just being picked apart by 3 different sides here. Is going to get down with a pistol as well. Leaves it only up to Hetty, who jumps in himself. And that's a 4th flawless in a row. We just continue here to trade these rounds. Fresh absolutely doesn't know what's happening right here. Is just shaking in denial.
How can it... this has got to be a record.
It's definitely... It's not by one team either.
It's not by one team. It's they both keep responding to each other. It's 5 apiece now. It's been back and forth, and that is the 4th flawless round in a row. And it's not like it's a flawless that's all happening in one location outside of that one round where they just sort of tried to throw themselves in. But that was a big break between those opening couple of frags and then the follow-up on the final, like, 3 players. This is a statistical anomaly. Remember you were talking about causation and correlation?
Yeah, causation and correlation is indeed.
What's the causation and correlation of this?
Whoever gets the first kill gets a flawless round.
All right.
This seems to be the correlation.
It's like the most extreme entry statistic.
It's like a 5 entry.
Ever.
Yeah. So, you know, there used to be an entry statistic. Like, if you get the entry and it doesn't get traded out within 7 seconds, there's a 70% chance you win the round. So, if you get the entry and it doesn't get traded out within 7 seconds, you get a flawless round.
You get a flawless round. You're able to pull the flawless. All right. Apart from setting records, we still need to set the record straight. Who's going to be the first team to confirm at least a point? Whoever takes this round has guaranteed themselves 1. And guaranteed themselves the only chance at the full 3. They've got to do what seems impossible in this half, which is to try and thread 2 rounds in a row. Is it going to be FAV to start us off, or will Talon be that titular takers? Otherwise, we might find ourselves hurtling in towards overtime for the first time today and seeing if there's a bit more of a split between this 2 setup.
For sure. So far, we had a 3-3 and a 2-on-2 in the house. So 5 attacking rounds, 5 defensive rounds, 1. Basically, it doesn't really matter where you start on the OT besides personal preference. Might be the difference maker there. Now, we are in an OT, yeah. We are getting very close, though, with a 5-5, especially after the rounds have been trading flawless after flawless. Let's see if that continues now. Is Talon going to be able to find one of their own, or is FAV going to break the mold here? Big questions to be asked. Openings to be made, shields to be destroyed, and entries to be gained by both these teams. Shields are being pinged out, flashbangs are coming through. They need to make sure, however, this time that the grenade does actually land close enough. That one seemed like it might have been. There you have it, the shield has been collapsed indeed. Afro's position suddenly becomes a little bit more dire, especially if they want to shoot these Excaros and he wants to step out wide. There is no more cover to hide behind for him. That makes everything just a little bit harder. However, with Shin behind the half wall and the player up onto the balcony, that might be the difference maker here in a double entry for the side of Talon. And Jack is already screaming in denial here. He thinks this might be another flawless round, and well, it might just as well be if they continue this way.
I mean, we're not there yet, people. We're not there yet. There is a minute 10 the rest of the time here for them to try and do their broach and approach onto the site itself. They are trying to angle themselves and get a little bit of the structure. Woo! There it is. The flawless streak is broken with a huge explosion. Number 2, and the magic of a C4 ends the magical run of 2 teams going head-to-head and neck, and keeps them fighting for the potential of getting to that 6th round. The pressure's going onto the back line. Pantry and the player is just caught around the corner, but actually rotates back in. The Ex-Kairos doesn't get the full connection there. I think it hit shrapnel on the floor that didn't quite allow it to pass on through, which means they can play it just a bit longer.
Ramu.
Oh, it did get through.
Yeah, well, these definitely did get through, and they might actually take out the shield he has there as well, because there is a little bit of explosive damage that comes through. Nova, number 2, though, coming on a bit of a flank here, needs to be careful because that main door is being watched by so are the main stairs. Damek finds the kill, and Talon is looking to try and push on a little bit further. Shield actually still stands. That might be a salvation grace here for the side of FAV, as they do need to clutch this out, but with the time running out, it's Aziz and Damek both picking up a kill each, and we'll be locking off the round here for the side of Talon, who are now on 6 and have the opportunity to take the full 3 points.
That was 4 people alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That was
close.
almost another flawless.
If not for that C4 that popped.
Imagine if we'd have had 5 flawlesses in a row. I mean, 4 is still very impressive.
You know, imagine if it was just a complete flawless half.
A
where
flawless half.
we just had 30 kills.
A statistical anomaly.
It definitely would be. Now, 6 rounds for Talon, and they're still in that attack. Fav headed towards the wine cellar, the basement, site that they have lost before. They were locked out of their own site at some point. Something they need to prevent from happening. I'm taking a glance over towards the left, towards the operator cards. And I see a Warden, I see a Smoke, an Alibi, an Oryx, and a Melusi. And all that I really see that they could use to stop any plants is the impact nades that Ramu carries. Now, if it happens like it did last time, where we saw the exothermic placed on the far side, it will not be impact tricked through the drone hole. So most likely they'll go for the exact same thing again, because they attempted it. And Talon saw that their exothermic stayed, it detonated, and that means it was successful. So why change that up right now? The big difference maker might actually be Typon, though. Due to the fact they do not have a Goyo, they will not be locked out of their own side, as those explode by the hands of a Twitch drone. Which means that if these flashbangs and smoke start to come around, you can just simply activate your glasses and look through and shut them down as they go for a push.
They're seeing if they can try and wait and bait for the approach here. There's the breach opening up. No way to stop it. But a prep C4 is a gamble. They sort of hoped somebody was stacking up there, but it's an early risk. And there's one slipped away, not quite caught, because they went for the camera instead.
Yeah, that could have been a quick transfer. Afro could have lost his life there. Not the case in the end. We still have some roamers up on the top floor, but Talon doesn't really seem to be caring too much about them. We might see some pressure coming in from the west main, but that probably will be about it. Shin hiding behind the display cabinet here, just basically only showing his head. He's looking to go for a late flank, potentially. I mean, we have 3 people off the side currently, maybe even 4. Most of them are located around those west main areas, so another plant from the trench could actually be quite devastating for the side of Talon.
Now, as Ramu's trying to just find some semblance of safety, Shin is staying still, waiting patiently and motionless, and sort of letting Typon suffer the back end of the pressure and digging in. They've got to try and time this better, because last time they showed up pretty much entirely too late. The run out leads to no success as they slip and slink their way in. Have they gone unchecked? There's a drone above the hatch, and that's the big play right now. Canos is aware. And it's such a slow creep. They're holding angles. Shin, I think, caught the drone. He knows they know, and Soldier knows where Ramu is. There's the swing around the top of main stairs, and Shin can actually, for now, just sort of sit and pull them away from the push.
Yeah, so they're trying to go for the execute either way. They know where Shin is, but it's a 3-on-5, and that means that the push is starting to come through. Oh, it gets spotted out. The Oryx there just slowly fades in through the smoke, and as the diffuser gets dropped, it's Afro that tries to open up some extra rotates here, but he gets caught to some extent. They know exactly where he is, and as the smokes and grenades are starting to push through, it's a 2-on-4 for the actual procedure of this game.
Well, they're able to get that diffuser back up. They're going to try and stick it behind that solid back wall. A triple kill for Soldier here, and Talon find themselves about to start that final count, replace the counter with their own. It's yellow numbers now, ticking towards a potential 3 points. Number 2 is the only one that stands between them and that, and they've pulled themselves back, missed the free take, and that's a body heading to the second story above a hatch that's open. They have the angle inside Red and Trench. They have it down from the far side. He's now lost 20 seconds, slipped through, but caught out another round where only one person died. Another round close to a flawless. But the only result that matters at the end of the day is the win. The precious 3 points for Talon, fighting at the top of the board once again.
And I believe with that, they have confirmed themselves to be going towards the playoffs as well, as they do overtake Demon Kia at the same time. Now, Talon played quite well here, especially during that second half. We're able to put up, you said it before, 2 flawless halves, and with that, 2 rounds we're only losing a singular player. That is quite incredible. Not something we see very often in a game as close as this, we can say. I mean, we do see it often that the enemy team only gets 2 kills.
Yeah.
But not one where the game is actually still as close as it was.
No. But that's it. That's it for that game. That's it for that. For now, we are closing in on the close of APAC North. But before we get there, that's next week. For now, let's take a break and then head over to the desk and see what they thought.